Going back from basketball to esports, Blizzard Entertainment is facing a boycott of its own. Yeah, this isn't over. After the American video game company banned a player for voicing support for protesters in Hong Kong. This is what happened. Many gamers are now dumping their subscriptions to games like World of Warcraft in response to what they see as Blizzard kowtowing to Chinese censorship. Bruce Turkel joins me now from Miami. In those examples, it's almost a no situation. And yet, what are you going to tell me about what these brands, and at the end, they are multi-billion-dollar brands, what have they not done in order to try and protect that? And you say they have to come out and say what they stand for.
They absolutely do, and I think one of them has. I think the NBA is actually doing a very good job of it. The NBA is saying, here's who we are, here's what our authentic truth is, and we are not going to change it. If you're values-based, you have to live by those values. It's very important because customers, consumers, need to understand who they're doing business with and what that means.
When you say what that means, there are some people really saying that this is an either-or situation. If you want China's revenue, the colossal revenue and potential that they have, you do need to be kind of an apologist for what their government policies are.
Perhaps you do if you go it by yourself. And I think it'll be very difficult for the NBA to simply make this stand by themselves. However, if the NBA enlists other brands that are important to Chinese consumers, are important to the NBA, if they build what we call brand blending, where this issue becomes more than just the NBA, but it's how an entire cohort identifies themselves. For example, if they bring Yao Ming into this, if they bring Nike into this, if they bring in other brands and say, we all stand for this level of transparency and this level of freedom of speech, all of a sudden, it's not so easy for an organization, an institution, even as big as the Chinese government, to be able to say that's unacceptable, because then you start taking too many things away from your consumers.
Yeah, but the brand of solidarity back in the late 80s was a brand because it stood for something. You just mentioned Yao Ming, right? He was a Houston Rockets. He's the head of the Chinese Basketball Association. He stands with his country in punishing the NBA on this.
Well, yes, he stands with his country by his statements. However, remember that in branding, it's not always what you say, it's what you do. The fact that Adam Silver has already set, the head of the commission, the basketball commission here in the States, has already set up a meeting with Yao Ming. The fact that they're reaching out to him shows a sense of cooperation. They were friends, apparently, since Yao Ming started playing in the United States. And so doing those things shows that we're cutting off everything, we are boycotting, we are walking away is not really what's going on. Because let's face it, this is a much bigger picture, it's a much longer activity. And yes, it may mean some short-range losses, but in the long run, what's important is that the brands stand for what it is, and I think that's exactly what they're doing.
Bruce, you speak such sense. I wonder what these companies are listening to people like you, because at the end of the day, you look at it and you think, this would have been obvious that, as you said, you need to have a plan going in and realize which markets you're going into. Bruce, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.